All right, so what does Mess Tactics bring to the wargaming table of the hobby enthusiasts? I wanted the game to be accessible. I wanted it to be thematic and cinematic. I wanted it to be universal, and I wanted to pursue this concept of verisimilitude. For accessibility, I'm using regular six-sided dice. Red modifier dice, which are the most common, white base dice, which are uncommon, and then once in a while for very powerful abilities or traits, we use the yellow wild dice. As well, there's a trade-off between always measuring and never measuring. In a tabletop war game, this is kind of critical. So we use measuring sticks about 8 inches long, and a player can always measure angle and distance using measuring sticks. For universality, I wanted the game system to support multiple genres and multiple background settings. I also wanted to use the idea of archetypes so that a figurine that you might have, depending on which game or which setting you play, could have different abilities. So they're not fixed to a specific set of attributes and traits. Next, I wanted the game to be competitive, so I have a build point system that is somewhat comprehensive. It's still a build point system, so you can exploit it, but it's pretty good. And next, I wanted the idea of different model sizes. We have several model sizes. You can go from something very small like a gremlin or a kobold all the way up to a giant or a dragon. The game provides the ability to have state. So beyond the normal state of being wounded, there's also the idea of being distracted. So you're normally attentive, but you can be distracted. You can also be hidden, or you can be revealed. Hidden models have a lot of benefits. And then you can also be fearful. This creates a compulsory action aspect to the game, which can be mitigated if you have good leadership. Lighting and visibility is another key factor in the game design. The idea is that if you're fighting during the daytime, it's going to be different than if you're fighting during twilight, which is sunset or sunrise, and nighttime, or in near perfect dark. Combat resolution these are opposed tests. And like most tabletop wargames, especially skirmish war games, there's a hit test, and if that passes, then there's a damage test. However, inside Mess Tactics, there's an idea of cascades. Cascades are the margin of difference between what was needed and what was actually scored. And the margin of difference are a form of microeconomy that allows a player to spend on bonus actions for their active character. The basic idea of bonus actions is to have a more dynamic position of your models on the battlefield. Some of the basic bonus actions include like reversing positions between the active model and the opponent. Another one could be, maybe push the opponent back into a wall or off of a ledge. Another one could be you pull backwards. Another one could be maybe you circle around your opponent or have your opponent circle around yourself. Another feature of Mess Tactics is the armor system, which both allows armor to deflect for hit tests and armor to absorb damage for the damage test. And weapons with their various traits and abilities can bypass one or both. Mess Tactics has a semi-granular wounding system, which is augmented by the idea of carryovers. When a hit test is performed very well, and any of the dice show a value of 6, that's a carryover die. So the hit test, dice, which are carryovers, go to the damage test, and that increases the likelihood of causing more damage, more wounds. The semi-granular wounding system allows you to have 1 wound per size value. Humanoid characters, which are human, are size 3, so they can support 3 wounds before they get knocked out. And if you're a giant of a size 6 or a size 9, you can take 6 or 9 wounds. And with the carryovers going to the damage test, it might actually cause a better hit, so that giant can be taken down maybe in 1 shot or 2 shots versus wielding it down 9 times in a row. The idea of interrupts is a very modern one, and Mess Tactics has different ways of performing interrupts. They're mostly known as reacts, which is a model is marked with the wait status token, and if another model performs an action, then any models which are in waiting can then react to that. There are also optional player options, such as counter-strike and counter-charge. So if an enemy model were to move across the battlefield, you could interdict them. If an enemy model were to try to hit you and they miss on their hit test, then you can counter-strike them. At the start of every turn, each player performs the initiative test to see who goes first. We also have situational awareness, which is you pick a model that should be the designated leader, but depending on who you pick, they may see all or none or just some of them. So the test is performed, and then the winner gets a number of initiative points equal to the cascades. That means their test score minus the losing test score. So some of the abilities of the initiative points would be to have back-to-back activations. Another one could be to maybe have the chance of reviving a model that has been knocked out on the battlefield, and it stands back up again and is back into action. And lastly, you can spend initiative points to take a model that has been distracted and make it less distracted, or make it not distracted at all. And then the initiative card has two abilities on it. One is to win ties for any initiative test, and the last one is if you hand the initiative card away to your opposing player, you can re-roll any test in the game, except for the initiative test, of course. So that's a whirlwind tour of the Mess Tactics gaming system. There's a lot more to explore. Why don't you go check it out?